Hello, welcome to my space station. Today let's discuss about Artemis II, the mission that NASA is sending to the moon after 54 years of a drought of missions with humans going towards the moon. Now I'm pretty sure I've discussed about this mission in my previous videos about how NASA finally aims to make astronauts go back to the moon by 2027, and we also discussed about Artemis 1, the mission that sent an uncrewed SLS spacecraft into lunar orbit and returned. That mission happened in 2022, and right now, in a few weeks' time, hopefully, Artemis 2 will launch off Cape Canaveral Space Center in Florida and carry astronauts after so long into lunar orbit. Now, the aim of this mission is pretty interesting. What it aims to do is to test the SLS spacecraft and to test if it can actually inhabit humans safely and if it has the capabilities of making humans go to the moon and back. The actual landing on the moon will be done on Artemis 3. Now, Artemis 2 is scheduled as of now to be taking place on February 8th. It was supposed to take place on February 4th, but there was a delay due to cold weather in Florida recently, which was outside the rocket safe operating limit. So they have scrubbed that launch for now and they've moved it forward to February 8th. The maximum time the spacecraft can be given on the pad is till February 11th. So it is possible that if the weather and the wind does not get better by February 11th, we might not be able to see a launch this month. Maybe we might be able to see it later on in the year or even next year, as space launches have to be done in a very tight windows which are not available at all times. We finally have the February window for 2026, and we will be hoping that the weather and the wind gets better so that we can launch as soon as possible. And if not, then well, for the safety of the astronauts and for the logistics of the mission, we'll have to wait till the end of the year. So let's talk about the details and specifications of this mission. It will carry 4 astronauts, 3 of them American and 1 Canadian. The Canadian astronaut, if the mission goes as planned, will become the first non-American to approach the moon, to ever get into lunar orbit. And this mission will also set a new record as to be the mission which is gone the farthest away from the Earth. Apollo 13 set this record when it had an emergency in space and had to go way beyond the far side of the sun, about 900 miles. Artemis 2 will go about 4,000 miles beyond the sun. That is a huge leap. Beyond the moon. That is a huge leap. So another record that will be broken is the farthest humans ever away from the Earth will be done in Artemis 2. Now this is basically going to be a rehearsal for Artemis 3, which will actually put astronauts on the moon. So aside from the far orbit, it will also come close towards the moon, and it will try to replicate the maneuvers that it would do in a lunar landing, which would be done on Artemis 3. It will not actually do the lunar landing, it will just get close down to the moon, and towards the steps where the landing will actually take place, it's going to replicate them so that the astronauts and the people that operating this mission back on Earth have an idea about how this thing is going to work. So this is a very important rehearsal, as you can't just immediately send a mission to the moon after 50 years and accept it and expect it to be a success on the first try. So that is the first step to test your equipment. Artemis 1 was a test of the equipment. Now you have to test your astronauts. So to test if a human body and if those humans can actually operate the spacecraft and the people on Earth can actually operate the spacecraft with humans in them. Now there's a life factor also. With humans in them and get close towards the moon and come back. And finally Artemis 3 will finish this off. This was also the same approach that Apollo missions took. Each of them built off the one before, and each of them progressed as they went. Apollo 10 was a dress rehearsal, same thing as Artemis 2. They went as close as they could to the moon without doing a landing. And Artemis 11 and then Apollo 11 finally finished it off with the landing. So same thing, but the difference is that since we were going to the moon for the first time in the Apollo missions, it took a lot of rehearsal. That is why you have so many Apollo missions. But now we have at least a basic idea about how this entire maneuver is going to be done, what type of thrusters we have to fire, exact distances and exact maneuvers. We know all of that, so we need less rehearsals. We need 2 rehearsals this time, and Artemis 3 will hopefully be the first mission in a long time that will put astronauts on the moon, and maybe that's going to be the start of our era in space. So this mission has faced a lot of troubles in the past time, and this might also be a growing trend, as Artemis 1 was also delayed for many months before. So this does make some people worried that are these kinds of month-long, year-long delays going to keep continuing? because a space agency tells us one thing, that okay, we're going to launch astronauts next month, and then always something goes wrong, and then we're launching them next year. So this is a trend which we have to work to avoid, right? Because okay, fine, some conditions in the weather we cannot control, but at least we have to be aware of them, that we know that this is going to be the issue, our spacecraft cannot operate in this weather. So we can at least tell the public that okay, if we can, that we cannot launch next month, let's launch next year. So give us proper details, and we have to work on this for the missions later on. So we hope that the Artemis 2 mission will be a great success and for all the people on board, and we're wishing them a safe journey to the moon and back. Thank you.